So far this year I've been faffing around with my running. I've been hitting about 30 to 95 kilometres a week. No direction, no focus. So I did this race back in 2016. Hill after hill, my body, my mind felt like it was falling into some sort of abyss. I've got 24 weeks to train for the Great Ocean Trail 100. And I'm not going to make the same mistakes I have in the past. But how is this time going to be different? The first point is endurance. The ability to endure the distance of the race. Now in the past, I've gone for really long runs, really try to push it out, 4 hours plus, week in, week out. I know that doesn't work for me anymore. Instead, I'm going to drive up the volume through lots of shorter runs, runs that don't overload me, that mean that I can get back to the next training session. So that's going to be a lot of doubles, a lot of short runs, and I'm going to be careful about the intensity. So it's about balancing load and recovery and finding a way to increase the load or the stimulus that should allow me to adapt to training without encroaching too much on the recovery. So instead of doing lots of runs of 4 hours or so to get ready for a race that's going to take 12 plus hours, I'm going to find a way to get the kilometres in, get that stimulus without having the impact that drives me down. So overall, over these 24 weeks of training, I can actually train more in total over this whole period than just having a few really big sessions and the rest suffering. Meet Mini. Next is hills. Now the way I'm going to improve my hill training is it's going to be a graduated approach. And I'm going to begin by incorporating more hills, more elevation in most of my normal runs. No real big sessions again, not really pushing it, but just making the majority of my runs hillier than I did before. I'm not going to begin by doing hills, 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 going really hard and driving myself into the ground. I've had problems with my Achilles in the past by doing exactly that. And the other side of this is I'm going to not care about times, not worry too much about heart rate, and really develop my feel for training, paces, running, and getting the right effort in. I'm going to change my watch to only display time and distance for the most part. I'm going to check in at the end of the week, every few days, just to see what my heart rate is doing versus what I feel like the effort level is. But from there, I'm not going to rely on and to go along with that feel of running, I need to get my form and technique correct. And a big way of doing that is I'm going to incorporate a bit more speed work. And speed work, I don't mean intervals of 200, 400 meters. I mean short, less than 15-second repeats. Quick and fast. I'll often incorporate those into the first run of the day. Last but definitely not the least is the mental side. I need to train my mindset. There's a number of ways that I do this. There is some focused meditation that I'll do, only requires about 10 minutes a day. I incorporate that with a bit of breath work. And the other side of it is deliberately creating an awareness during the run sessions, during training, where I become aware of my thoughts, take notice of them, but practice not latching onto them, not latching onto the negative thoughts. I think they're perishable skills, meaning that they're skills that you have to keep working on. And I think coupled with that is I have to be careful of the other things like using my phone. Now in the past I've made my training weeks 8 or 9 day cycles, and that's been a byproduct of my shift work. And I'm still doing shift work for the most part, but I'm also having some stints of Monday to Friday mixed in. So I'm going to focus my training around sort of a normal 7-day week, so your Monday to Sunday. There will be variation in each week depending on which shifts I'm working and any other life commitments. I'm going to try and get in double runs on each day. The runs will either be 40 minutes, 60 minutes, or 80 minutes, depending on what time I have available, how I'm feeling, and where I'm at. Tuesday and Thursday in the early part, some faster sessions, but the volume of those fast runs will be quite low. On the weekends, I'm going to try and fit in as many kilometers as my body can handle, that I can get in without stuffing up the following week's training. I might incorporate a park run and run 5 kilometers hard in the middle of it all. It'll either be some longer runs or broken up into doubles, maybe even triples. Just depends what I've got on the weekend and how best to fit it all in. I think I'm missing something. I know. Weights, strength training. I feel like this one's going to be a hard one to fit in, so I might give up a couple of the doubles to get in some strength training sessions. The goal is to get in 2 out of every week. They'll be about 30 minutes. They're not going to break any records, set the house on fire, be anything spectacular. It will need a whole video by itself, won't it?